Hello, dear friends. In this lesson, we're going to try to understand conditional statements in Python. We're going to do it. Come on, so let's start. So first, we're going to talk about control statements. But before that, we need to know about decision making and why we need it. So decision making is anticipation of conditions occurring while executing the program and specifying actions taken according to those conditions. Decision structures evaluate multiple expressions which produce true or false as their outcomes. So we need to determine which action to take and which statements to execute if the outcome is true or false otherwise. So the following is the general form of a typical decision-making structure found in most of the programming languages. These conditions can be used in several ways, most commonly in if statements and loops. The Python programming language assumes any non-zero and non-null values to be true, and if it is either zero or null, then it's assumed to be a false value. Great. So now we're ready to learn control statements. So our first control statement is the if clause. All right, so what is the if statement? So the if statement contains a logical expression using data to be compared, and then a decision is made based on the result of the comparison. But how does that work? Well, if the Boolean expression evaluates true, then the block of statement or statements inside the if statement is executed. And if a Boolean expression evaluates to be false, then the first set of code after the end of the if statement or statements is executed. I'll tell you what, let me show you some examples and we can both understand it a little bit better. So create a variable named age and ask for the value to be entered by the user. So if the age is less than 21, print, you can't enter this place. Now, if the user entered value is less than 21, the program will return us a you can't enter this place. But the user entered value is equal to or greater than 21, then the program will return us nothing, right? Because we didn't mention it. So let's create another variable named number, and we'll ask again for the value to be entered by the user. If the number is less than 0, print negative. So now if the user entered value is less than 0, the program returns us negative as a result, but the user entered value is equal to or greater than 0, the program will return us nothing, yes? Because we didn't mention it. Right. That's as it should be. As you can see, we're going to just need more information to make the program functional. That's why we need to know the else statement. All right, so what is the else statement? An else statement can be combined with an if statement. An else statement contains the block of code that executes if the conditional expression in the if statement resolves to 0 or a false value. But how does that work? Well, let's see some examples. So first, let's use our examples again and add the else block to the end of it. If age less than 21, print you can't enter this place, else print welcome. Now, if the user entered value is less than 21, the program returns us, you can't enter this place. But if the user entered value is equal to or greater than 21, the program returns us welcome. And as you can see, our code is becoming more functional, right? So let's do it to the other example. If the number is less than 0, print negative, else print positive. So now, if the user enters a value that's less than 0, the program will return us a negative value. But if the user enters a value that's equal to or greater than 0, then the program returns us a positive result. So, what if we want to create an else statement without using if? All right, let's try it. Else print hello. Okay, so as you see, Python returns an error because an else statement is an optional statement, and there can only be, at most, only one else statement following if. You follow? So now we can talk about our last conditional statement, the Elif statement. The Elif statement allows us to check multiple expressions for true and then execute a block of code as soon as one of the conditions evaluates to be true. Similar to the else, the Elif statement is optional. However, unlike else, for which there can be at most one statement, there can be an arbitrary number of Elif statements following an if. So I'll show you how it works. So we'll create a variable named model and ask for the value to be entered by the user. If model equals 1, print you choose Rolls-Royce. Elif model equals 2, print you choose Aston Martin. Elif model equals 3, print you choose Bentley. Else, print invalid number. And what do we see here? If the user entered value is 1 to 3, then the program will return us a value of 1 to 3. If it is not, then the program will return us an invalid number. So there's no need to use an else pattern in the programs. Our code will work without the else block. However, if an incorrect action is entered in this case, we will see that nothing is written on the screen. So, using the else block is entirely optional. It's up to us. But you can see how useful it is. So, let's write the previous example again without the else statement and see what happens. So as you can see, if the user entered value is in the range between 1 to 3, then the program will return us the value of 1 to 3. If it is not, then the program will return us nothing. So using the else block is entirely up to you. One more thing, elif blocks cannot be written unless the if condition is written. Doing so will cause an error in Python. So let me show you what that looks like. All right, so in this lesson, we have learned the basic things we need to know about conditional statements. Now, our next lesson, we're going to try to learn the loop concept in Python. You'll see why I reserved it to be separate. All right, I'll see you in the next lesson. Until then, have a nice day.